The time is now.
Glorious night here in Miami. Chevrolet presents the Marlins and the Rays. Three-game series opens tonight with Miami looking for their first win of the year. Evan Longoria and the Rays took 1 of 3 from Baltimore. Zombie night. Tom Kohler getting in on the action. The Marlins would just like to score some runs. If it takes a zombified Billy, well, then that's fine. Hi, everybody. Rich Waltz along with Tommy Hutton. Off day for the Marlins. Anxious to get back out it. Anxious to get the bats going.
Yeah, the off day, I'm sure, did everybody a world of good. Kind of get organized, the first homestand. But when you look at the first 3 games, what really stands out to me are the offensive numbers and what really wasn't put up.
That's a good term for it because the numbers were offensive. You look at the Marlins, just kind of a heat check right now. It's ice cold when you look at the numbers.
Batting average down, too many strikeouts, just 3 for 12 with runners in scoring position. The good news, the Marlins have played flawlessly in the field, and if you just eliminate the one Latos inning, the one Cishek inning, the ERA has been good. Another area of concern, the 7 and 8 hitters in the Marlins lineup through the first 3 games are 0 for 19. Now, Stanton didn't see a lot to hit, but he did get on base. He walked 4 times, has an on-base percentage of over 400.
There were 2 questions coming into spring training. Would Dan Herron pitch for the Marlins? And if he did pitch, how would he pitch? Well, the first question is answered. Second question to be answered tonight. This guy has been a steady pro, putting up very nice numbers in his career.
Oh, he really has. Look at that, 142 career wins, 10 consecutive years of 30 or more starts, 7 of 10 years, 200 innings. He's always pitched well against the Tampa Bay Rays. He's had 13 career starts against the Rays. He's 7-4. And last year, when he was a Dodger, he got off to a terrific start. His first 8 starts, he was 5-1, had an ERA in the 2s.
Zombie night, Marlins, Rays. When we return, you will be looking live at Michael Morse, who will visit with our Jessica Blaylock. from Miami, 4-3 down below. Jessica Blaylock with Mike Morse. Jess?
All right, thanks so much, Rich. Michael sitting at 0-3. Obviously not the start that you guys wanted, but this is a brand new series against the Rays. What needs to be different tonight in order for you to get your first win on the season?
Score some runs, come out early. I think we're a little relaxed now. I think maybe those trips to Jacksonville and stuff, we kind of got off our routine a little bit. So we came out flat that series, but I'm pretty sure we're going to be all right tonight. And, I see the swag back. The guys are back. So we're going to go out here and have some fun tonight. Win or lose, we're going to have some fun tonight. You
had a couple of hits on Wednesday. You feeling comfortable at the plate?
Yeah, I'm getting there. For me, I haven't had that many at-bats in the stadium. I'm getting a good feel. Last game, I started feeling a lot better. So I'm going to try to see the ball as much as possible today and try to swing at the good ones and, don't swing at the bad ones.
We saw contributions during that series with the Braves from you, from D. Gordon, from Martin Prado. How do you feel like the new guys are fitting into the lineup?
Well, I think we're definitely fitting good. We definitely know each other on the field. We got the defense part down, so now we're going to, get the offense part down. So, it's two parts to this game, and we got to get them both rolling.
All right, thanks so much. Rich, back to you.
All right, Jess, thank you. Michael Morse and the Fish. Evan Longoria and the Rays. First pitch, right around the bend. Florida is brought to you by Toyota. Let's go places. Inside Marlins Park, it is Zombie Night. The Walking Dead action here tonight. JM Lexus brings you the Rays lineup. Kevin Kiermaier is in center. Steven Souza Jr. in right as Drupal Cabrera at short. Evan Longoria hits cleanup. Desmond Jennings, 3 hits to start the season. Alan Dykstra at first. Logan Forsythe is at second base. Rene Rivera will do the catching. And Steve Geltz is on the mound. Dan Herron ready to go. Kevin Kiermaier in the box. First pitch is a strike at 86 miles an hour. Pinch a Penny bringing you that first pitch.
Generally, that's where you're going to see Dan Herron with his fastball. He'll mix things up. He'll cut it. He'll throw that tumbling splitter. Hey, they'll get some ground ball outs.
D. Gordon throws out a speedy Kiermaier. And there's one out here in the first.
When you've pitched as long as Dan Herron has, 34-year-old, he's won 142 career games. He's obviously gone up against this ball club a few times, and he's 7-4 in his career with a nice ERA just about 3 against the Tampa Bay Rays, making his 349th career start.
The last time Miami saw this man was the last out for the Marlins 2014 season. Steven Souza Jr. was a defensive replacement in left field. And with Jordan Zimmermann throwing what could be the first no-hitter in Nationals history, Christian Yelich, whom you just saw, socked one into the gap in left center field, and Souza made an incredible diving catch to secure the no-hitter, finish the game, and send the Nats on a high note into the postseason.
Yelich hit that ball as well as you can hit a ball, too, into left center field.
Asdrubal Cabrera in the 3 spot, and Evan Longoria right behind him. Aaron picking at the corner, and it's 2-1. Souza will be 26. You can see the Fox tracks, pitch number 3, just off the edge. That one misses as well. It's 3-1. Souza in that 3-team Nationals, Padres, Rays trade ended up in St. Pete. He pulls one foul.
Well, the door opened for Souza to play when the Rays traded their young right-handed hitter Will Myers on to San Diego.
3-2 pitch. Souza pulls it. Last year for Steven Souza Jr. 21 games with the Nationals. He hit just $130. He hit only 2 homers. Both of those were at the Marlins' expense. He had an outstanding year last year in AAA.
The Rays, Rich, are hoping they've gotten a guy who would be considered a late bloomer. He's had big years in the minor leagues. He's done everything you can at the minor league AA and AAA level.
It's one thing the Rays have done an excellent job of in years past, and quite frankly the Oakland Athletics has put guys like this in the middle of it to see if they can sink or swim, and a lot of times they can swim. Souza swings and misses. Aaron dials it up and gets a strikeout.
Well, 86 on this last pitch. One thing that Dan Herron doesn't like to do is walk hitters, so he just said 86. Here it is, and he gets the strikeout.
So 2 outs, and here's Asdrubal Cabrera, 29-year-old Venezuelan shortstop, and he takes a strike. Marlins saw Cabrera last year, finishing the year with the Nationals. Longtime Cleveland Indian, 7 years.
Had a couple of all-star years with the Indians.
He's been to 3 postseasons and knows his way to the ballpark. He makes his offseason home in Plantation. And just off the outstretched glove of Michael Morse, Cabrera round first, headed to second. Stanton's throw makes him by a bunch. Giancarlo Stanton throws out Asdrubal Cabrera. That wasn't even close, and I'm stunned that Cabrera tried it. The play was right in front of him. in Miami. JM Lexus brings you Miami's lineup. You heard from Michael Morse. D. Gordon leads it off. Christian Yelich in the 2 spot. Giancarlo Stanton followed by Morse. Martin Prado in the 5 spot. Marcell Ozuna has swung a nice bat to start things, and a good career against the Rays. Jared Saltalamacchia and Danny Echeverria still looking for their first hits. And they will all dig in against Steve Geltz, who won't be around very long. The Rays are starting a reliever by design in this ball game. Their staff shortened by injury. They've got a pair of guys who are slated to go behind Geltz, who is a hard thrower, a 27-year-old. And Gordon smacks one into center field for a base hit. And Miami is in business. Gordon has a hit in every game now.
Yeah, 4 base hits now for D. Gordon. That's him to a T. You see that little bit of a tumbler. It's kind of a split that Geltz throws. But D stays back on it, sends it right back up the middle. So here's a guy in Steve Geltz making his first major league start. 7 years in the minor leagues, 241 games all out of the bullpen, 13 major league games all out of the bullpen. And he's up against Herron, who's made 349 starts.
Here's Yelich, and a fastball misses in.
But you're right, Kevin Cash and the Rays approaching this game as a bullpen type game.
Matt Andriese, Erasmo Ramirez are the 2 arms that will, in all likelihood, pitch behind Geltz. Gordon is running, got a nice jump. The throw from Rivera, and he is safe. Cabrera reacted like he had him. The Rays, I'm sure, will look to have it reviewed. And Kevin Cash is on his way out. Now, remember, umpires and managers don't have to go through this, but Cash is on his way out to chat and buy some time for the review.
So much of it on this, because it's so close, is foot on bag where the tag is, and looks like he was safe. And again, this is D. Gordon with the straight on slide, feet first. Watch the front foot. It's on the bag, and he stays on the bag too as Cabrera keeps the tag on him.
Stolen base number 2 for Gordon. 2-0 the count on Yelich. And Yelich takes a fastball for a strike.
So no challenge there from Kevin Cash and the Rays.
Stanton on deck, 2-1 coming. Yelich takes a strike, and it's 2-2.
Marlins played the Rays pretty well last year, 4-0, winning all 4 games. But over the years, a 47-46 ledger against Tampa Bay.
Rays were 77-85 last year. Yelich smacks it foul. And the Marlins 77-85 as well. And for the Rays, it snapped a nice run from 2008 through 2013, a 6-year period, 5 90-win seasons, 4 postseasons. Two. Yelich back to Geltz, who's got Gordon hung up. See if Gordon can hang in there long enough for Yelich to advance. Gordon in a rundown, and Yelich is going to try to get there. Gordon is tagged out. That's terrific work by Gordon. Yelich is now in scoring position, not necessarily to get caught off of second, but at least to hang in there long enough for Yelich to go all the way across.
Yeah, once you make that move, and boy, he thought that ball was headed to center. Now your job is to try to get in a rundown, and he did a tremendous job doing so. Once it got here, Yelich took off and went to second. So in essence, you would have had 1 out anyway, and D. Gordon is second. Now you have 1 out with Christian Yelich at second.
Now Stanton. 1.654 on the putout. Big time shift by the Rays on the infield. Outfield straight up and deep. Stanton takes a breaking ball for a strike.
Yeah, they have 3 players left side of the infield. The outfield, as you said, Rich, deep but straight away.
Way off first is Alan Dykstra. Geltz. Oh, 1.
We saw periods last year when Giancarlo really got locked in and he was driving in runs. And he drove in 105 last year. But we saw stretches where he would take a ball and shoot it right into that big opening and get RBIs by not having to hit the ball out of the ballpark.
Geltz getting a break on that fastball. 0-2. Stanton pulls it in the hole to short. Cabrera across the diamond in time. So there are 2 outs.
Yeah, here's a look at the Rays defensively. In the outfield, you have Desmond Jennings, Kevin Kiermaier, Steven Souza. Gold Glover over at third. Evan Longoria has won a couple. Asdrubal Cabrera at short. Logan Forsythe, Alan Dykstra around the infield, and Rene Rivera behind the plate.
So Yelich remains at second. Here is Morse. Infield is shifted against Morse, but not as extreme as they were against Stanton. Geltz with a good breaking ball for a strike. It's 0-1. 3 for 12 is Morse on this season. Rivera setting up way out. Boy, he left that ball right down the middle. And it's 0-2.
It's just one of those matchups that you kind of have to go old school, because certainly not a lot of video. Guys weren't able to look at Geltz and see a whole lot of video. Probably saw some. So you just have to go up, see the ball, get an idea of what he has, and attack.
And again, Rivera setting up off the plate, and Gelt's fastball was right down the middle. Well, the video they saw of him, if it was from opening day, was pretty impressive. He faced 4 hitters and he struck out all 4 of them.
Yeah, pitching against the Orioles,
who were the victims of Mark Burley's 200th win today.
Hey, congrats to Mark Burley.
0-2. In the dirt, and it kicks away from Rivera. On to third is Yelich.
Talked about that over the top. Has one of those downer curveballs, and we've seen a little bit of a tumbling splitter, a little changeup action.
One and 2. Morse fouls it back.
I tell you, Michael Morse has got some good pitches to hit in this at bat.
Geltz has thrown the breaking ball for strikes in earlier at bats in this inning, most notably to Giancarlo Stanton. Morse, a liner in the center field. That's a base hit, and Miami's on the board.
Well, you knew once he kept fouling off some of those pitches that were pretty good to hit. He was having good swings and fouling them off. You knew if he got another pitch to hit, he was going to hammer it. And he hammered that one for an RBI base hit. Out over the plate. That's where Michael Morse likes it. And nobody was going to catch that one.
And that was the 3rd time, Tommy, in that at bat where Rivera was set out and the fastball was down the middle, and this time Morse didn't miss it. For Miami, it's just their 4th run. This is game 4, and it's their first lead in a ball game all season long. And a strike to Martin Prado. 3 hits for Prado so far this year. Well, you heard Morse, who was live right before first pitch with Jessica Blaylock, just saying he felt like the swagger was back. Everybody seemingly back on in sync.
That's part of the deal too. Just getting back in their routine. And it's good to jump out early and get a lead.
Oh, 2. That's strike 3 called. Geltz gets a strikeout. Miami gets a run. And the Marlins have a 1-0 lead.
Kendall Toyota.
Yes, a paying customer on Zombie Night. Evan Longoria, fastball, first pitch swinging, pops it up. Morse in fair territory makes the catch. And Dan Herron, 1 pitch, 1 out here in the second.
Be a little unnerving, Rich, to get that seat and have that guy sit next to you.
Well, one of the great cultural phenomena across the country right now is that show on AMC, The Walking Dead, and so zombies have made a real comeback, so to speak, in the horror genre. Tonight, a little bit of a salute to that.
By the way, when the team, I'm sure, when Dan Herron went over the Tampa Bay Rays and their lineup, I'm sure one of the things they talked about was don't let a guy like Evan Longoria beat you. If it's a situation where you can pitch around somebody, he would be the guy. Now, to have him lead the inning off and pop up, that's a good sign. But certainly he's a guy you don't want to have come to the plate with a few men on base.
Well, the Rays certainly in a transition year in terms of manager and in losing a guy like Will Myers. But this is a really banged up team, and they arrive in this series with some regulars and some starting pitchers on the disabled list.
Oh, it's incredible the number of players they've had to put, and regular players too. John Jaso just went on the DL. James Loney, their first baseman's on the disabled list.
Nick Franklin, a guy that they were counting on to play up the middle, on the DL. And if you want starting pitchers, Alex Cobb, Matt Moore, 2 pretty good ones.
Drew Smiley, another one on the DL.
Jake McGee, a guy that was going to be their closer, he's on the DL. So
Alex Colomé, a guy who was battling for the number 5 spot. So it's been amazing and unfortunate for the Rays this year.
As you just saw, Kevin Cash, he's the first managing job at any level. The 37-year-old was in Cleveland's bullpen as a bullpen coach the last 2 years. Stanton will watch that one get into the seats.
You and I talked about it before, though, Rich. A real bonus for Kevin Cash. With his youthfulness and inexperience, he's got a great bench coach, a long-time Rays coach in Tom Foley. There's Tom. And one of the most well-respected pitching coaches in Jim Hickey.
Good timing there, Hut. Jim Hickey entering the shot just as Tommy got to him. Ozuna's back, and he's there, and he makes the catch. Jennings is out number 2. Alan Dykstra coming up. Saturday Spectacular, the first one of the season, is tomorrow. Remember, start time is at 4:10. Puerto Rican Heritage Day at the ballpark. Get you the all-you-can-eat seats for just $35. And after the game, concert on the West Plaza. Marlins and Rays tomorrow, 4:10 start. Alan Dykstra stands in. Dykstra getting the start at first base with James Loney on the DL.
I think everybody usually gets a little confused when they see Dykstra. No relation to Lenny Dykstra. Lenny Dykstra does have a son who's playing, Cutter Dykstra. He's in Syracuse.
Yeah, you found out he's in Syracuse to start the year, getting closer to the big leagues. Aaron still has that hesitation in his windup. He's a highly decorated starter. This is a guy that not only was a 3-time All-Star pitcher, he started an All-Star game in 2007 as a member of the Oakland Athletics. Now Miami for Dykstra has the extreme shift on, and they bring Echeverria over to the first base side with Gordon, and Prado is out near the bag at second. This one hit in the air out to Yelich. Dan Herron, a 1-2-3 second. Miami a 1-0 lead over Tampa Bay. Monday on NASCAR Race Hub. They'll have a complete recap of everything that went on in Texas, including Winners Weekend, as the Sprint Cup winner takes us through their weekend from practice to the checkered flag. NASCAR Race Hub is Monday, every weeknight, 6 Eastern, on Fox Sports 1 and streaming live on Fox Sports Go. And to be honest with you folks, this is the program that forced Tommy Hutton how to figure out his DVR. So once that program became reality, Tommy Hutton learned the DVR, the nuances of it.
Yeah, and then ever since I learned that, I found out I can only DVR 2 shows at the same time.
Ozuna bouncer to Longoria, and Evan Longoria throws out Marcell Ozuna. Second inning right now for Steve Geltz. If you're just joining us, the Rays have so much starting pitching on the disabled list that tonight it's sort of a by committee approach. There's a pair of arms that the Rays thought about using at the start to start the game. Erasmo Ramirez, who has started in the big leagues. Matt Andriese will be making his major league debut. But they settled on Geltz, a reliever, just to start the game. Here's Saltalamacchia. Extreme shift for him, including Logan Forsythe way out in shallow right.
And their one main starter, a guy who has stayed healthy, the Marlins will see tomorrow, and Chris Archer. A good one.
Another reason for Geltz starting is the Rays may not let him hit, and they may go through the entire night not having any of their pitchers hit if it shakes out right in terms of the rhythm of the game.
Yeah, the interesting thing about that, though, is that all of a sudden you could unload 2 or 3 of your bench guys and not have anybody left later
in a National League game.
Yeah.
And Kevin Cash in his pregame press conference talked about that and how, hey, he's a brand new manager, and by the way, there's Erasmo Ramirez. And it's a National League game he has to manage. Saltalamacchia takes down low, and Jared Saltalamacchia is aboard. And another dangerous thing, too, you can map it all out and say, well, we're going to have this guy work this inning and this inning. It all can change in the blink of an eye.
Yeah, ask Mike Redmond about that in Matt Latos' start.
This is a part of the order that the Marlins were hoping would be a little more productive than the 0 for 19 coming into this game, and that's the 7 and 8 spot, and it's been occupied principally by Jared Saltalamacchia and this man, Adeiny Echeverria. Etch is 0 for 10 to start the season.
Yeah, both Salty and Etch looking for their first hit of the year.
Aaron's on deck. Geltz misses down low, so Erasmo Ramirez is warming up. Ball and a strike to Echeverria. Trying to get the bats going for Mike Redmond. You know, it is a fine line between, as a manager, trying to light a fire under guys and at the same time staying the course and not getting too high, not getting too low. Redmond, as a player, and you reminded me of this tonight, had the luxury of doing something wacky, and that was taking batting practice naked up the middle, backhanded there. Nice flip to Cabrera. The Rays will get just that out at second base. Saltalamacchia erased, and Heron will hit with Echeverria at first. I was not here broadcasting games when Mike Redmond partook in batting practice naked. Hut, you were.
Yeah, I didn't personally see it live, and that would be tough to do in this ballpark because those who go into the Diamond Club walk right by the Marlins batting cage. So that wouldn't be allowed here at Marlins Park. But you know, it jump started everybody. Everybody had a lot of fun with it. And by the way, speaking of pitchers who swing the bat, over the years, Dan Heron, anytime you see a pitcher that's pitched as long as Heron and has a career batting average of .211, a couple of home runs, you know he swings the bat pretty well. He did that at Pepperdine, where he went to college.
Couple of home runs in his career. Last year with the Dodgers, had a double, hit 185. 2010, he hit 364 in 55 at bats. Counts 0-2. And it stays 0-2 for Herron. Arrived in the big leagues with St. Louis. 3 years in Oakland. Obviously didn't hit much there, but then to Arizona. Not only was he back in the National League, but he has a great place to hit. In Arizona, he pulls that one to third. Longoria fires it across the diamond. Scouting report on Dan Herron. We turn to
number 15, Dan Herron.
Herron himself.
Really, I mean, my game is I throw anything, anytime, any pitch in any count. I have to, because you know, my stuff isn't what you know, Henderson, Alvarez's or Cozart's, but you know, I rely on a lot on movement. So I throw, you know, I cut my fastball sometimes, I sink my fastball sometimes, I ride my fastball up sometimes. You know, I throw a curveball. Like I said, I cut it. Sometimes it could turn into a slider, and throw a split as well. And just try to mix speeds with everything. You know, whatever pitch is working for me that day, I go to most, and you know, it could be a different one anytime out.
Very candid and thorough scouting report, self-scouting report from Dan Herron.
That's great stuff. And also, any young pitcher who's coming up to the big leagues should listen to that. The fact that he said, you know, it depends on what I have working that particular night, and I'll use that a little bit more. So, words of wisdom by a guy who's been around.
Herron going to work on Logan Forsythe,
by the way,
Rivera, and Steve Geltz's spot.
Saw that shot of Jose Fernandez, who had another terrific bullpen session. Threw about 50 pitches, threw some curveballs, threw some changeups. He had that today.
You got to know that Jose was watching the other day when Matt Harvey made his return from Tommy John surgery. Those two, so easy to compare, young starters, division rivals. Fascinating, in-depth article on Tommy John surgeries on ESPN.com on the baseball page. in the air to right. Giancarlo Stanton is there. A lot of myths dispelled by that article. It's a good read if you're, especially if you have a young player in baseball, whether high school, college, or even younger than that. Scott Pride telecast presented by the authority of the Marlins may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form. Accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the Miami Marlins.
I think so many times after reading that article, it will enlighten people a little bit more. So many think it's an end-all, fix-all. Everything will be fine. And it isn't always the case.
Only 80% success rate for that surgery. And the other myth, or one of the other myths dispelled, is that pitchers don't always come back throwing harder after that surgery than before their surgery. Stanton again to right. But all signs point to certainly Harvey coming back and looking good, and Jose, which is good news. And I guess the younger you have that surgery, the better chance you have of a full recovery.
Well, I think so. Harvey, 6 innings, gave up just 4 hits, no runs, had 9 strikeouts in his win, a 6-3 win against the Nationals and against Strasburg.
Former LSU star Mikey Matuk pulls in. Matuk, a guy that had a great spring. They're very high on him. And Heron's fastball at 86 is up and in. Making his major league debut as he pinch hits here.
Yeah, he was the Durham's MVP last year in the minor league, so a terrific year. 292 and 68 RBIs. Had a good spring.
Gordon runs down the soft line drive, and Dan Heron has retired 6 straight, and D. Gordon will lead it off.
One to nothing thanks to an RBI single from Michael Morse. Well, a little bit of a rough start to the season for the Marlins. They currently sit at 0-3 after getting swept by the Braves in that opening series, but there is no sense of panic on this team. I had a chance to talk to D. Gordon, and he told me we're going to be fine. This is a great clubhouse that's filled with both veterans and young leaders. We play for each other even in bad times. We're going to be just fine. And Rich and Tommy, the Fish, off to a good start tonight. Maybe their fortunes are changing.
Well, just getting a lead is a step in the right direction. Thank you, Jess. As D. Gordon leads it off. Christian Yelich and Giancarlo Stanton to follow. Michael Moore said something interesting to Jessica right before first pitch on his interview. Gordon into the bat, flips it into center field. That's a base hit. And D. Gordon is aboard for the second time. He stole second back in the first. And what Moore said, Tommy, was he felt that the Marlins, with their trips to the minor leagues, to North Carolina, then to Jacksonville on that Friday and the Saturday before Monday's opener. Remember, they had an off day on Thursday. Just really got out of sync and out of their routine.
Well, and the other thing, if you think about it, they had an off day before they went on those trips. On those trips, the regulars got 1 or 2 at bats, and then they came home to an off day, a workout here. So really, they're not going to make any excuses about that, but it's hard to put together a routine. I think because of that, you have to start thinking about the last week of spring training, what you might want to do in the future to maybe prevent that.
Erasmo Ramirez is pitcher number 2 for the Rays. Again, the Rays kind of going by committee tonight. Steve Geltz got the first 2 innings. Miami got a run off of him in the first. And Ramirez, who had a rough time last year, part-time in Seattle's rotation. He was 1-6 with a 5.26 ERA.
To just continue that thought, Rich, I think you'd like to try maybe to play a few games at night toward the end of spring training. Possibly play a couple of exhibition games right here at Marlins Park.
Well, that was close. Ramirez with a nice quick move. Dykstra's tag just late. 2 for 3 is Gordon this season. Kind of a quick slide step and a fastball for a strike.
Yeah, Geltz only threw 35 pitches. So now it's up to Ramirez, who may go a little bit longer. Spent some time with Seattle the last couple of years. Out of Nicaragua.
Matt Andriese, another young arm that the Rays are very high on, is tentatively scheduled to pitch tonight. It will be his major league debut. He's one of the guys that came over in that 7-player 3-team deal with Padres and Nationals. It will be his major league debut, and Yelich takes outside, and Miami is set up here with speed on the bases. Stanton coming up.
This goes to our topic of discussion when you talk about players protecting Giancarlo Stanton. As important as it is to have a Michael Morrison, Martin Prado, and Ozuna behind him, it's just as important to have Gordon and Yelich in front of him.
Rays shift 3 infielders on the third base side, and Stanton gets hit. Fastball comes in and clips him, and he'll take his base. Bags are loaded. It's an interesting exchange there, because Stanton, after he gets hit, watch after he gets hit, and it's in the back of the leg, so kind of an innocuous spot. He took his helmet like he was going to leave his helmet. Whoops.
Yeah, better keep that on. and then a little smile.
He said, oh yeah, it was the glove I wanted to leave here.
You know what? One of the things we certainly saw it in the Braves series. The Braves pitchers, and this is going to be a pattern we'll see all year, I would imagine, really tried to pound Giancarlo in with hard stuff, which most pitchers will try to do, but there are a lot of young pitchers that don't have the control to do that, and it could prove for him getting hit a few times.
That was sort of the strategy last year. A lot of teams tried to go in to get outs. Well, here's Morse, who punched a 2-out liner into left center field for an RBI hit in the first. He's got the bags loaded and nobody out.
So far early on the year, in the previous 3 games, the Marlins are 0 for 4 in bases loaded situation. Remember, they had a couple of times bases loaded and nobody out and failed to score.
Check swing, looks like he went. And he did. Jerry Davis down at first. Will Little is the home plate umpire. You just saw Davis. Bill Cuzzy And Tony Randazzo out on the bases.
There it is. Jerry Davis, the crew chief of this umpiring crew.
So it's 0-2. Ramirez looking for a strikeout here. The Rays looking for an escape hatch out of this inning.
Well, last year, Michael Morse, 16 home runs, 61 RBIs for the Giants. A lot of big base hits for San Francisco last year.
And Morse fouls it off. We've talked about the Rays and their starting pitching and the injuries that they've had to endure. Cobb and Moore pretty much at the top of that list. Miami had a year like that. I believe it was 2007, the year after all those good young pitchers made their major league debut. Was it 7 or 8? And Mark Hendrickson ended up being the opening day starter for Miami.
Big lefty, former NBA player.
And I think everybody had a bit of the injury bug in Miami's rotation that year. Here's the 1-2. And speaking of that, sorry to read the news today that Ricky Nolasco is headed to the disabled list. Elbow inflammation. We wish him a speedy recovery.
Absolutely. Former Marlin Nate Eovaldi making his Yankees debut tonight, pitching against the Red Sox.
Pitch number 7 of the at bat for Morse. Bags loaded, nobody out. He's had some healthy cuts tonight.
Yeah, he has. He had 6 pitches at first AB with a lot of good swings, eventually picking up an RBI single. More pitches this at bat and a tremendous swing that last one.
Missed, count full. Single by Gordon, a walk to Yelich, Stanton hit by a pitch, and now Morse sitting on a 3-2 pitch. Grounded to third, Longoria out there, the turn by Forsythe, and the Rays will trade a run to get 2 outs. It's a 2-0 lead. Gordon scores. Stanton is erased. Yelich remains at third.
Certainly early in the game, the Rays are going to take that 5-4-3 double play with Longoria playing back. And the way things have gone for the Marlins, they're certainly going to take the run.
Now Prado called out on strikes in the first. Ramirez bends that in there to get a strike. Chopper to short. Cabrera on the run in time to get Prado. And the Marlins get a run out of that bases loaded spot. It's 2-0 Miami. 10-game plans. Start as low as $240 and include tickets to some of this season's biggest games at Marlins Park. Quantities are limited, so secure your 10-game plan today. 1-877-MARLINS. Go to marlins.com/2015 tickets. 2-0 Miami on top in the fourth. Dan Herron looks sharp. Marlins and Rays opening up a 3-game weekend series. Kevin Kiermaier, Steven Souza Jr. as Drupal Cabrera.
This guy did a terrific job last year when he came up to the Rays.
Gets into that one, drills it down the line and deep and gone. Kevin Kiermaier homers to right field.
Kiermaier started the year at AAA, 34 games, but over 100 games with the Rays last year. Hit 10 home runs and 16 doubles and 8 triples. And I remember you and I having a conversation with Joe Madden about him, and he said he's one of the best young defenders he's ever seen too. So he got a hold of that one, kept it fair, and cut the lead.
Second home run of the season for Kiermaier. Rays are on the board. It's 2-1 Miami. Steven Souza Jr. then Cabrera. Longoria will get an at-bat this inning. Souza is out of Everett, Washington, about an hour north of Seattle. That's with traffic.
They don't have traffic up in Seattle.
Counts 2 balls and 2 strikes. Outside corner. Herron catches the black and strikes out Souza for the second time. Let's see on Fox Tracks where that one finished.
Well, the target's away, and that's right where Herron goes. Got a call from the home plate umpire, Will Little.
Drupal Cabrera, breaking ball that's up. 49 games with the Nationals last year. Signing a 1-year deal with the Rays. Cabrera pops this one. Down the line, it's Gordon, and he makes the catch. And now Herron gets to face Longoria without anybody on base. Mark Burley, 200 wins and a 12-5 win at Camden Yards for the Blue Jays. Josh Donaldson drove in 3. To right, shallow. Stanton is not going to get it. It's foul. Just foul.
Boy, in our brief association with Mark Burley, one of the truly really good guys in this game, and a pro's pro all the way.
I was a little disappointed in the offseason when Major League Baseball was sitting down and making their rules about speeding up the game. Just call Burley.
Hey, call Mark Burley. Call Dan Herron. Dan Herron works quickly. He didn't waste much time out there.
There were 17 runs scored in that 12-5 game, and the time of game was 2:45. Burley 6 innings, 8 hits, 2 runs. They're delayed in Atlanta tonight as the Mets and the Braves get set to go. It's an Eric Stoltz, John Neese matchup. Veteran lefties once they get going. Echeverria, quick release in time to get Longoria, but Tampa Bay has a run. Kevin Kiermaier, his second home run of this young season. Ladies and gentlemen, Tootie the Fruity. By Chevrolet. By Checkers. Get Checkers authentic Philly cheesesteak. Try the new meatball sub. Pick yours, 2 for $5. And by Subaru of Pembroke Pines. Price, service, selection. You're going to love us. Subaru of Pembroke Pines. Zombie Nights. Marcell Ozuna takes a breaking ball for a strike. Ozuna leads it off for Miami in the bottom of the fourth. Jared Saltalamacchia, Danny Echeverria, Erasmo Ramirez, second pitcher for the Rays. Breaking ball strike, fastball strike. And quickly it's 0-2. Ozuna off of the leg. And with the shift and with Forsythe breaking to his right, that ball trickles out to the vacated spot at second for a base hit.
Well, the amazing thing about that, had it not hit the leg of Ramirez, it would have been to the second baseman Forsythe with the shift. Look where Forsythe is. He's up the middle. And this ball is headed right there. So Ozuna can thank the leg or foot of Ramirez. That ball trickled out of the reach of Forsythe. An infield base hit for Marcell Ozuna. He'll take it.
Saltalamacchia now. Rays infield shifts over to the right side. Saltalamacchia, who walked back in the second, takes ball one.
Well, with Salty taking batting practice today, Lenny Harris, and both the hitting instructors worked the batting cage, and Lenny talking to Salty about staying down and through. Keep that front side in. We see him try to lift a little bit sometimes, so Lenny verbally getting on Salty during BP, trying to remind him.
Frank Menachino praising the work of Harris. That has been a project for Lenny. Saltalamacchia from spring training on through here. Count is 3-0. The count. 0-3 are the Marlins coming into this one. And they've got company. In fact, the Pirates are 0-3. That's a good ball club.
The White Sox are 0-3.
White Sox are 0-4 now. The Twins beat them 6-0. That's a good. You're right. That's a good ball.
So you're talking about clubs that came into this year with great expectations. White Sox, some people picking them, numerous people picking the Pirates in the National League Central.
Pitch is out. Saltalamacchia is aboard. Here comes Echeverria. Remember, tomorrow is a 4:10 first pitch. And so Marlins Live pregame, which is brought to you by your South Florida Honda dealers, starts at 3:30. Craig Minervini, Jeff Conine, Jared Cozart with his season debut. And it's Puerto Rican Heritage Night. South Florida Honda dealers brings you Marlins Live. Interesting spot here, obviously, with Herron on deck. It affects what you do with Echeverria. As mightily as Echeverria has struggled, and he's 0 for 11, were there a capable hitter behind him, you might see him just try to push a bunt and move the line ahead. Instead, he gets that one in the left center field. That's going to drop. Base hit. Scoring is Ozuna. Saltalamacchia behind him. It's kicked. Brett Butler started to send Saltalamacchia, and I think Salty had already put the brakes on and wisely stayed at third base. But Echeverria breaks his drought of 2015, and Miami has that run back and a 2-run lead back.
Boy, this is a nice swing, and good to see Etch get it on track and get things started here in 2015. In the gap, it's a double. No harm on the slight bobble. Probably a good thing, just the fact that with nobody out, Saltalamacchia was held at third. Ozuna scored easily. And now second and third, infield in with the pitcher up.
Dan Herron can really help himself here. Sends it to Longoria, and he'll get the out at first. The Rays bring the infield in. Erasmo Ramirez has an out.
With that double, you and I were talking before the game. Coming into this game, the only extra base hits the Marlins had, a triple by Donovan Solano as a pinch hitter, and the double by Henderson Alvarez on opening day.
And so now Echeverria joins that list.
Yeah.
Here's Gordon, who has a pair of singles in the ball game. He's 2 for 2. Infield still in. Brett Butler chatting with Saltalamacchia. Good speed with Echeverria at second. This is not, as strange as it sounds, a bad place to bunt for a guy like Gordon, because even though the infield is in, they are a lot deeper than they usually play against Gordon. You look at the corners, they're actually on the dirt portion of the infield. You never see that with a Gordon at bat.
I think you'd think about it a little more if you had more speed in a runner at third base. If you had just a little above average, but with Salty over there, you might not think about it as much. But you're absolutely right. Longoria kind of on the cutout there, where third basemen usually are 3 or 4 steps in.
Counts 2-1. You've got Yelich on deck. Gordon has looked comfortable tonight, and he has singled against each pitcher that the Rays have thrown out there. A single in the first was against Steve Geltz. He singled against Erasmo Ramirez and scored in the third. Run across in a 3-1 Miami lead. Down low, and now Ramirez gets to face Christian Yelich.
Well, Steve Geltz, who started the game, had much better control. That's the third walk issued by Ramirez, and he's hit a bat.
Jim Hickey, regarded by many as the best pitching coach in all of baseball. There was a poll that I saw in the offseason, and it was of Major League general managers asked who they thought the best pitching coach in the business was, and Hickey was at the top of the list.
Brian Price used to be there with him. Now he's a manager.
Yelich swings and misses in a changeup, and it's 0-1.
I think Christian thought with bases loaded, with Ramirez having walked D. Gordon, you'd see a fastball first pitch, and Ramirez threw him a pretty good changeup.
Frank Menachino talked about the psychological change for Yelich. You might not think going from the leadoff spot to the 2 spot is a big jump. For a young hitter, the circumstances change, especially with Stanton hitting behind him. And the pressure and the change, most of it is psychological.
Well, he's battling here. He saw a couple of good changeups to fall behind 0-2, and he just got a piece of that fastball to stay alive.
One-two. Yelich into center field. It's a base hit. Saltalamacchia will score. Echeverria right behind him. And Miami gets 2 more. A gamble by Etch. That one was just over the glove of Forsythe, and Etch was long gone from second.
That's one of those, it's either a gamble or it's an absolutely great bit of base running, knowing that this ball would clear Forsythe's head. And it did. It got over his glove. He wasn't able to make the play, and Ed scored easily behind Saltalamacchia.
And it's 5-1 now for Miami, and I think everybody in that Marlins dugout has exhaled here. Stanton is up. Fastball, check swing, no swing, says Jerry Davis. Miami has scored 5 runs in 4 innings. In 3 games coming in, the Fish had scored just 3 runs. Now let's see if Stanton can get in on the fun. Yes, that's a fair ball, and down the line it goes into the corner. Gordon will score. Yelich behind him. Stanton has a 2-run double, and all of a sudden the swagger is back, and the Marlins offense has arrived for 2015. For Stanton, his 400th career RBI.
Stanton had batted 3 previous times with Yelich and Gordon on base ahead of him. He'd walked twice and he was hit by a pitch. This time he got a little something better to swing at. Was able to sneak it just over that third base bag, bringing home D. Gordon and Yelich, who can both fly.
Kevin Cash came down on the field and was out to chat with Phil Cuzzy. And I think he was arguing the fair foul call. I think the Rays, who have a pretty good look at it from that angle, felt that that was a foul ball. Morse through the shift into right field, and Stanton will score. The shift over the middle, Morse goes away, and Miami has a big night here. And it's only the 4th inning. 2nd RBI, 2nd hit for Morse.
Now this will keep teams honest, and advanced scouts will see this. You put a shift on, Michael Morse can use that side of the diamond, and he did right there. So it'll be interesting to watch as the year goes on if teams do that as much.
Remember, the Rays had grand designs here to use Geltz for a few innings, Ramirez for 3, and then possibly bring in another arm, a youngster, Matt Andriese. The problem is now they're in a big hole, 8-1, and the game has almost gotten away from them.
Speaking of beating the shift, I think you saw it. There was a great video out. It was a YouTube interview with George Brett. talking about how teams shift so much and how guys don't try to beat it. Now, I understand George Brett, the Hall of Fame hitter, and he could do those things. But he said, all you have to do, and he really got upset. He was ranting a little bit, Rich. He said, all you have to do, him being a left-handed hitter, hit that ground ball through the hole on the left side where the shortstop is. They won't shift on you all that much. But he was really adamant about it.
Martin Prado is up. Grant Balfour. When's the last time Grant Balfour warmed up in the 4th inning? I mean, you're so used to seeing him come in late. But it is a patchwork night for the Rays.
Well, I'm sure Kevin Cash alerted his entire bullpen. A little swagger, a little more fun.
Well, that's the exact terms that Michael Morse used right before the ball game. And that's how the Marlins played all of spring training. And they were a very good offensive team in spring training. For whatever reason, that shut off cold on Monday night. It seems to have arrived here on Friday. Prado swings and misses. And down he goes, 2nd out of this 4th inning. And here comes Ozuna.
Marlins have batted around. Ozuna led things off with that base hit that caromed off the foot of Ramirez for an infield single.
Now Morse has 2 hits tonight. Ozuna has 1. If you were to pick one hitter in the Marlin lineup that from opening day till right now has been the most consistent, is Ozuna your guy?
Yeah, Ozuna's had the most consistent swings. He's hit a few balls that have been at people. But yeah, I would say since day one it's been Marcell Ozuna.
Ozuna fouls it at the plate. 8-1 Miami. 6 runs here in the 4th. Jared Cozart, Chris Archer tomorrow. Henderson Alvarez will go on Sunday for the Fish. And a swing and a miss by Ozuna. 6 runs, and the Marlins are up big. Marlins moment. This was a cold afternoon on this date in history. Tommy Hutton's first year behind the microphone for the Marlins, 1997.
Well, I tell you what, Alex Fernandez, he had the curve, the slider, fastball. He had the weather working for him. Dave Hansen, left-handed hitter, very good career as a pinch hitter. Got the only base hit. It was in the 9th inning, but Alex was on the top of his game right there.
8-1. Miami's offense has arrived, and in a big way. Top of the 5th. So Dan Herron has a bunch of runs to work with. He's got Desmond Jennings, Alan Dykstra, and Logan Forsythe for the Rays in the 5th.
You said you had a buddy that attended that game.
I had a good friend, Arnie Scalio, a longtime executive in the television business, who was at had a convention. Fastball misses up, and he had an afternoon flight out of Chicago, but he wanted to see Wrigley, he wanted to see a game. Bought a ticket, sat down, and he couldn't leave because of the possible no-hitter, and he hung in through the cold, missed his flight, but saw a historic performance. Not quite a no-hitter, but a big moment for a team that would win a world championship that year.
8 balls in the air have been outs, and that was something that was talked about when Dan Herron was acquired. Marlins Park, a good place for him to pitch. He will give up some fly ball outs.
Alan Dykstra takes away. Balfour joined by Andres. Gordon with a shift on from his knees. Morse digs it out. Very nice play, and Dykstra is out number 2.
You know, there's sometimes the shift works, sometimes it doesn't work, and you'd like it to work more often than not. And that time it certainly did, thanks to the efforts of D. Gordon. There's Morse way on the line. Gordon shifted, but also lays out and then throws out Dykstra from his knees.
You know, for the Marlins last year, the shifts didn't work. They were, I believe, last in Major League Baseball in shift efficiency. In the air. And Gordon is there, makes the catch. 6-pitch inning for Dan Herron. And 8-1 Miami. Season is April 12th this Sunday. Marlins and Rays 110 start. Pepsi 4 for 74 pack is available. 4 tickets, 4 KMB Franks, 4 Pepsis for $74. Fans get a Marlins 2015 calendar courtesy of Pepsi. Plus, kids can run the bases after the game in the Diamond Dash. A few zombies in the stands.
That's interesting when you're only 24 days younger than your manager, and that's Grant Balfour. He's been around. He's been a very serviceable relief pitcher for a long time.
John Chimchuk is our baseball historian tonight, and he lets us know the last time Balfour pitched in the 5th inning or earlier was 2009, early June against the Angels. That one smoked to right field off the bat of Saltalamacchia, and it goes to the wall. Saltalamacchia is on his way to second base.
Well, it's always fun when everybody gets in on the action. So far, everybody in the lineup, with the exception of Martin Prado, has a base hit. There's Salty staying down and then letting it go. Boy, Lenny Harris is going to love that swing.
And here is Echeverria. Well, Miami had a 6-run inning in the bottom of the 4th. And then Dan Herron followed that with a 6-pitch inning in the top of the 5th. And Echeverria, who doubled in the 4th, is up. We talked about Saltalamacchia and Echeverria combined 0 for 17 coming into this ball game. They both have not only hits but extra base hits.
Yeah, anytime you can lengthen that lineup and start getting some hits from your 7 and 8 hitters, boy, that just it extends things.
Balfour, the Australian, with the Rays last year.
Out of Sydney, Australia. I think it's his 2nd stint as a Ray.
Got to the big leagues all the way back in 2001 with Minnesota. In and out of the big leagues with the Twins. Last year there was 05. Resurfaced in the big leagues in 07 with Milwaukee. Then started a 4-year run with the Rays. Bounces in the dirt. Then it was on to Oakland. 3 really nice years in Oakland. A couple years as a closer. And there was always that great scene when Balfour would come in. The animated fans in Oakland, as they always are, would rage and go into a fun, unchoreographed, spontaneous rage. Cabrera whips it to first in time. Fox Sports Florida partnering with Checkers to offer the Citrus Series sweepstakes. It's your chance to win a prize pack full of Fox Sports Florida and Marlins team gear. Here's how to enter. Throughout the Citrus Series, tweet hashtag biggest Miami fan and hashtag sponsored to @SunSports Fox Florida. That's it. And at the end of the series, we'll pick one random winner for the grand prize.
Well, we got to send out our congrats. There was a very happy Marlins assistant minor league pitching coordinator last night. Jeff Schwartz has been in the organization for a number of years as minor league pitching coordinator. His son JJ is an outstanding player. He was in high school and he's a freshman at the University of Florida. Florida played Stetson. Good school, good baseball. Jacob deGrom. J.J. Schwartz was 5 for 5, hit 4 home runs, and had 10 RBIs.
How about that? I saw that.
Corey Kluber out of Stetson.
I saw that in the paper, and online, but I didn't put the name together with the.
Yeah, we see Jeff all the time around spring training. Works with all the pitchers in the minor leagues.
So Tlamaki at second. Heron reaches out, sends it to right. Souza is there, and he makes the catch.
So tip of the cap to J.J. Schwartz.
Was it Mel Brooks who said, "May the Schwartz be with you"? That would be Spaceballs night. That's a different.
Spaceballs. That's a different night. Yeah.
Different promotion. D. Gordon. Couple hits and a walk. This is what the Marlins were thinking about when they traded for D. Gordon. A night like this, Gordon igniting the offense tonight. On base all 3 times. Has scored 2 runs. Has stolen a base. He set the table for Yelich, who's driven in 2 with a single. For Stanton, who's driven in 2 with a double. Getting Morse to the plate twice. And he has, or actually 3 times, twice with RBI singles.
Hey, the first 3 games of the season, the Marlins were 3 for 12 with runners in scoring position. They're 5 for 12 tonight.
Out to short. Cabrera has it, gets the out, and Miami strands a runner in scoring position. To the 6th, 8-1 Marlins. Now by Raul Stryker Jr. Raul.
What's up, guys? How are you?
It's the first time we've had a chance to visit with you, and the Marlins bust out 8 runs. We need to talk to you every night.
I'm telling you, you got to do it every game then.
See, I think you get a plan like that and you have to carry it out. So, yeah, good to see you, Raul.
Thanks, and you might have to speak with Brett and maybe get me on the road trips as well if we want to keep this going.
We'll work on that. You know, there's FaceTime and Skype too, if it comes to that. What have you? Now you've been here for all 4. What have you seen just in this first week from this 2015 Marlin team?
I think that basically, you know, the team is an exciting team. I like the energy. I like the way that everybody is positive most of the time. Like a guy like Martin Prado, I think, is a great example. And something that started from last year when they started building the team last year, and they've been able to maintain that throughout all their acquisitions this year. And then I think it was just a matter of, you know, you always want to do well when you first get somewhere. You want to impress. You want to do well, and especially against a team like the Braves that for so long, you know, even though they're in a different stage right now, they've dominated this division or been one of the top teams in the division. You want to do so well that sometimes you press a little bit, and especially baseball is such a tough sport where, you know, a fraction of an inch here or there makes a difference. And it just seems like those first 3 games, they weren't getting those key hits, those key moments, those plays weren't going their favor. And now all of a sudden it relaxed, and maybe a day off had something to do with it. And they're doing a lot better today, especially with men in scoring position and taking advantage of those key moments.
Well, Mike Redmond looking up the scoreboard and seeing 8 runs on 9 hits right now.
That's awesome. I mean, I think it was like the shortest post-game press conference he's ever had was on Tuesday. 2 questions. I don't think we were there a minute. I mean, there was not much to talk about, really.
Well, we said it the other day, too, after the third loss. We said not too often the first week of the season are you going to look forward to a day off. But I think the day off did a world of good.
Definitely. It's, you know, and spring training is not easy either. You know, they haven't been playing golf for a month. They've been playing, you know, baseball, getting ready for the season. So it seems like, yeah, the season just started, but really they've been at it for about 6 weeks. So, yeah, a week off is always good, or a day off, I should say, is always good. Especially not so much for the physical part, but you guys know the mental part of baseball is probably the hardest part.
Yeah, and the expectations for a team that hasn't had many of them for a while can weigh heavy as well. Ozuna's back there, and he makes the catch. All right, Raul, we'll see you tomorrow, 4:10 start. Remember that.
For sure. Looking forward to it.
Rivera is out, number 1. Dan Herron, very comfortable.
Looks like we're going to see Brandon Guyer as the pinch hitter. Guyer out of the University of Virginia.
It almost feels like this into center field, the base hit. This pitcher by committee that the Rays have here is more built around who's going to pinch hit rather than who's going to pitch. And Guyer punches one into center field. Speaking of where do pitchers hit, there was a ball game today where both pitchers were in the 8th spot. Both lineups had the pitchers hitting 8th, and that was in the Rockies' 5-1 win over the Cubs.
Yeah, Joe Maddon's been doing that with the Cubs. So the Rockies did it too?
Yeah, Walt Weiss did it as well.
Worked out better for Walt Weiss than it did for Joe Maddon.
Well, yeah. But
how about the Tigers banged out 18 hits in Cleveland? I haven't looked at the box score. How many do you think Miggy got?
Out of 18, Miggy got 2. He probably walked a couple times.
3. Three for 5.
Kevin Kiermaier drilled one out of the ballpark down the right field line. That was back in the 4th. That's the extent of the Rays offense. Guyer the runner at first. Kiermaier takes a strike.
You know how we always talk about in those games, there's always one hitter. There's 7 hitters who had 2 hits or more in that Detroit game in Cleveland. Unfortunately, J.D. Martinez was 0 for 5, who, by the way, has gotten off to a good start, just not today.
Kiermaier, a second-year Ray. This is a guy who was a 31st round pick out of Parkland College in Champaign, Illinois. He had a terrific year defensively last year. He appeared in just 108 games, and yet he was a finalist for a Gold Glove, which was won in the American League by the guy we just saw, Nick Markakis, then of the Orioles.
That's a pretty good pick when you can get a guy with his tools in the 31st round.
And that's, you know, certainly the hope for the Rays moving forward. They've lost a lot of talent temporarily to injury, but through trades, especially the rotation. Another base hit for Kiermaier, pulls it to right. Guyer will stop at second. The hope is that they continue to do a nice job of identifying guys like Kiermaier, guys like Ben Zobrist, hidden gems that others miss on. Tampa Bay has always done a real nice job of that. Kiermaier's base hit brings Souza up. How did that Nathan Eovaldi start go tonight for the Yankees?
Well, so far the pitcher who's throwing the ball well is the left-hander with the Red Sox, Wade Miley. He's gone 5 shutout innings. Nate Eovaldi, 5 1/3, 8 hits, 3 runs, and he's out of the game. The Yankees haven't scored. It's a 3-0 lead for the Red Sox.
David Phelps in Miami's bullpen. Aaron sits very comfortably at 74 pitches. That one's smoked by Souza, but foul.
They know that Souza has the power. They're just hoping it translates from his minor league numbers to this level.
My goodness, last year his slash line, 350 average, 432 on base, 590 slugging in 96 games at Syracuse.
It's 75 RBIs, 96 games.
18 homers, 25 doubles. Check swing, no swing. I don't think that's a swing.
I don't think it is either. You see it called once in a while. And you also heard Will Little, the home plate umpire, shouting over to the Marlins dugout. It was outside. The pitch was outside.
Another check swing. And once again, Jerry Davis renders his decision. Chuck Hernandez, Mike Redmond. This is game 4, and the Marlins now in 3 of the 4 have to be pretty darn pleased with their starting pitching. Anderson Alvarez in game 1, 7 innings, 2 runs. Tom Kohler, 6 innings, 2 runs on Wednesday. And the anomaly there, of course, was Matt Latos in his 7-run, 2/3 of an inning outing against the Braves.
But the good news in that game was the 4 1/3 1-hit shutout innings of Brad Hand.
Bouncer draws Echeverria to the bag, and he gets there and turns the double play. Heron with a nice escape from the 6th. In the bottom of the 6th inning in Miami, the Marlins a commanding 8-1 lead. Zombie night in Miami. The Marlins offense zombie-like in the first 3 games. Not tonight. Offense has come to life. The Marlins have pounded out 9 hits, have 8 runs. Jessica Blaylock, Jeff Conine, Preston Wilson. This would be Rich Waltz and Tommy Hutton with you. That youngster trying to get the zombie makeup off right now, I think. I think he's had enough of that. Rays, with some changes, staying in the ball game is Brandon Guyer. Coming in to pitch, made his major league debut. Matt Andriese.
You know, you think about it, it's a time for some Rays pitchers to make a little statement. Show Kevin Cash what they have. Steve Geltz, Erasmo Ramirez, Balfour, everybody knows, and now Matt Andriese. So a little bit of a showcase.
It's one of the things the Rays, in terms of pitching, have always done well, and that's draft and develop and next man up in terms of their pitching staff, whether it's a starter or reliever. Whether they lose a James Shields or a Dave Price, they've been able to replace those guys. It's hard too. A lot of that credit goes to Jim Hickey and the whole organization. That Rays way of developing pitching has been quite successful. Yelich is out tonight. Cold, hard facts are brought to you by Clean, Crisp Coors Light. Youngest managers / head coaches in 4 major sports. Cash is the youngest. James Borrego of Orlando is 37. Brad Stevens is at 38 of the Celtics. Breaking ball and a strike to Stanton. I think I saw Derek Fisher's name on that list.
Yeah, Kevin Cash had some playing time in the major leagues with Toronto, with Tampa, with the Red Sox, with the Yankees, with the Astros. He was a catcher. Went to Florida State.
And he was born in Tampa. There's the rest of that list. A.J. Hinch is back in the game. His father, an original Rays season ticket holder. Stan tonight bounced to short, hit by a pitch down in the left hamstring area, and then a 2-run double over the bag down the third base line. Fastball up, and it's 2-2.
So you're not going to see many center fielders play any deeper than they are for Giancarlo. You can just barely make the outline of Kevin Kiermaier out there.
Stanton checks his swing. Counts 3-2.
This is when, as a hitter, you don't know a young pitcher. You're 3-2. You're not sure if he's going to go fastball, if he's going to spin one.
And that's in. Stanton walks. So Giancarlo on for the 3rd straight time. And brings up Morse, who is 2 for 3, 2-run scoring base hits. And the Rockies are now 4-0. They swept Milwaukee and they beat the Cubs today 5-1. That was in Denver. That's a team that nobody expected to make any noise in the West. Well, maybe some offensive noise, but 4-0 sit the Rockies atop the West.
Well, in that first series, you always expect them to hit in Denver, but their first series was in Milwaukee. They swept the Brewers.
Someone is going to get a win in the Pirates-Milwaukee game. They're both 0-3. And Pittsburgh has scored first in Milwaukee, 3-0. That's top of the 3rd now. Nationals have a 1-0 lead over the Phillies. I think that's a Gio Gonzalez start.
you see where the Pirates locked in versatile Josh Harrison to a nice 4-year contract.
Good for him and good for the game. He's a fun player to watch.
Played second in the league in hitting last year. And the only reason that Adrian Gonzalez is not homered yet is the Dodger game hasn't started. They're in Arizona tonight.
He has 5?
Has 5 home runs, a record, major league record in the first 3 games.
Morse takes a healthy cut and misses. 2 outs. Here comes Prado. As Tommy mentioned, Prado the only regular without a hit.
Yeah, Adrian Gonzalez homered in each of the first 2 games, and then in the 3rd game hit 3.
The Reds are trying to join the Rockies at 4-0. The Cardinals have tied that game up. It's 4-4. St. Louis and Cincinnati, top 7. Joey Votto has homered twice.
Joey Votto has 8 RBIs already on the season.
Prado inside outs it. Nice play by the ball boy. Watch this, Hutt. Did he get it cleanly? He did.
Yeah. No replay necessary. No challenge.
That's great news for the Reds because Votto looks like his legs and his lower half is back. 3 home runs already, 2 tonight.
I think the interesting thing about the 3 home runs the other night from Adrian Gonzalez, he hit all 3 off Andrew Cashner.
Tapper out towards second. Forsythe has it. Flips to first. And Matt Andriese, first inning in the big leagues, is an uneventful one, which is good for that young right-hander. Sports Florida is brought to you by Xfinity, by Paul Blart Mall Cop 2, starring Kevin James, in theaters April 17th, and by Lexus of Pembroke Pines. Price, service, selection. You're going to love us. Marlins up here 8-1. It's the 7th. Let's go down to Jessica Blaylock.
Well, Rich, the Marlins love to take care of their fans, and one of the things that they like to do is different promotion nights at the ballpark. If you can't tell from looking behind me, it's zombie night here. They had T-Dog from The Walking Dead throw out the opening pitch. You were able to get your face painted. Look how good these zombies look. I love it. I was thinking about getting my face painted, but like a good journalist, I did my research and I said, hey, how permanent is that face pain? And the makeup artist claimed that it wiped off, but from what I'm hearing, that face paint seems a little permanent. So maybe I made the right decision. Maybe I didn't make the right decision by hanging out down here, because all of a sudden I'm now surrounded by even more zombies. All right, guys, hopefully things are a little less scary up in the booth.
That's a Michael Jackson zombie there.
That is a Michael Jackson zombie. Can we see some Thriller dance moves? Is zombie Michael Jackson able to do some Thriller dance moves? All right, we've learned something. Zombies can dance. Rich, back to you.
All right, thank you. Asdrubal Cabrera up there right now for the Rays. 8-1 Marlins. David Phelps takes over for Dan Herron, and Cabrera greets him with a drive into right field, a base hit. Evan Longoria, Desmond Jennings will follow. Dan Herron goes 6 innings and gives up just the 1 run on 4 hits.
Herron threw 79 pitches. We saw David Phelps the other night pitch 2/3 of an inning in the Matt Latos game when we talked about the right-hander out of Notre Dame. A guy who's been, over the last 3 years, very versatile. He was so as a Yankee.
Evan Longoria 0 for 2 tonight, takes another strike. It's 0-2. Toyota Trend, guy that has been the face of the franchise. Rays extra base hits all time. He's tied with Carl Crawford.
And we talked about his prowess as a defender, a couple of gold gloves, just a solid player.
Played in every game last year. The year before, he missed just 2 games.
One of the many out of Long Beach State.
Troy Tulowitzki and Longoria, probably the flag bearers, right, for the dirt bags, as they're called. Center field, well struck. Ozuna ends up about 400 feet from home plate, makes the catch. I don't think just in thinking about the Trop, I don't think the tank for the Rays is in that direction. I think it's a little further to the right. But that ball had a chance to go out in St. Pete.
I know it's one of the things the Marlins do. They track baseballs into the outfield here, both sides, visiting players and Marlins players. As far as would they be home runs, would they not be?
Jennings takes away. Mike Redmond
a little more relaxed tonight.
Yeah. No real panic. I was able to talk to him pregame on Marlins Live. It's not really time as a manager at this point of the season to go in and turn over the spread. You know, there's a whole generation of fans, Hut, that probably don't know what that means. For a manager to turn over the spread. To right, it's Stanton, and it kicks off of him.
Yeah, I think as he came down, he might have lost it in the lights.
And it's going to be a base hit.
Nowadays, by the way, it would be very expensive spread. Right about here, he either lost it or he just didn't get it. Sinking line drive. He was there in time. Ball looked like it hit him on the knee.
You saw him close his eyes at the last second, which to me is an indication he had lost it. Jennings gets a hit. Dykstra is up now. And the Rays have runners at first and second, 1 out in the 7th. Dan Herron going 6th. David Phelps working here in the 7th inning.
Yeah, years ago the spread consisted of fried chicken, maybe some pizza.
Turning over the
usually cold.
Turning over the spread is not a gambling term. So for those that haven't heard that before, in the old days, Tommy's day, the spread was the post-game meal, which was essentially some card tables in the middle of the clubhouse, and
because there were no kitchens in the older clubhouses,
and some
cold cuts,
catering, pizza, whatever. And in the Earl Weaver, Dick Williams, Billy Martin,
Gene Mock was well known for doing that.
Tommy
Lasorda.
If a manager wanted to send a message, he would, in the middle of the clubhouse, storm in. He would wait till the team was in there. Right?
Well, the manager didn't want to see, after a long losing streak or after a tough loss, the last thing he wanted to see was his players in there eating food.
So managers would go in and literally turn over the spread, knock it over, food everywhere, storm out. Here's a 3-1. And it's in, and Phelps has run into some issues here. He's loaded the bases with 1 out in the 7th. Marlins Park offers a variety of suites located behind home plate and along the first baseline. It can be rented for just 1 game. Suites accommodate groups from 16 to 70 guests, offer upscale contemporary furnishings, feature great food and beverage options. 1-877-MARLINS or go to marlins.com/groups. That's something for stats or research friends to really research the last spread that was turned over in Major League Baseball. Because as Tommy pointed out, now clubhouses have actual dining areas and kitchens where the players go to eat. Infield looking for 2, the 1-0 pitch. Phelps misses outside. I guess the challenge, and Chuck Hernandez is on his way out to talk with Phelps.
Yeah, it's frustrating right now for David Phelps.
Challenge for Phelps or a Brad Hand. In spring, they were getting regular work and regular starts, and then the bell rings, and they're on a very irregular schedule.
Well, that's always the challenge for the middle relievers, or think about some of the bench players. A guy like Jeff Baker hasn't had an at-bat yet. Donovan Solano's had 1 or 2. So you do all that, you get ready in spring training, you play some games, you get some reps, then the season starts. If you're not a regular player, then those reps become much more inconsistent. I know one time last year, you and I think it was me, I was a little upset after a game, and I turned over the spread in the TV booth.
With the spread in the TV booth is a bag of chips. Let's face it. Logan Forsythe is flied out, popped out. 3-0 pitch. Phelps gets a strike, and it's 3-1. Rays with an opportunity to do some damage here. Miami up by 7 runs.
You know, the other thing with a guy such as David Phelps, he's coming over. He's with a new team. Again, he wants to impress. He wants to do well. And right now, it's just not working for him.
So it's 8-2. Rene Rivera is up. Chuck Hernandez on the phone.
Well, both Chuck and Mike Redmond know that they certainly down the road in the next 6 months will need David Phelps.
Maybe in the next 6 days.
Yeah.
And so Phelps will give the ball to Redmond, and the Marlins will go to Sam Dyson. Kendall Toyota called to the bullpen. A couple of walks after a pair of singles. David Phelps exits after just a third of an inning. And Sam Dyson arrives. This is the first of a 3-game series, the Citrus series, if you will.
Really good numbers last year in the 31 games when Sam Dyson joined the ball club. Good heavy sinkers when Dyson's on his game.
Remember, tomorrow's game is a 4:10 start. Chris Archer for the Rays, Jared Kozart for Miami.
Sam Dyson, before he headed on to University of South Carolina, went to Tampa Jesuit High School.
Dyson looking for a ground ball, so is his infield. And that's what Dyson did best last year. Pitch is fouled by Rene Rivera. 0 for 13 is Rivera on this season, so he's looking for his first hit. Fouled at the plate. The Citrus series, Dwayne Stats and I will go out to Checkers before the ball game tomorrow.
That's been kind of an annual thing.
Tradition.
Yeah.
Why mess with something? 0-2. And a strike on the outside corner. And Rivera, a rough night and a rough start. He did not like the call from Will Little. And
it's borderline.
It is, but if part of that baseball catches part of that line, it's a strike. Rivera and Little will have 2 more innings probably to talk it over behind the plate. And here's Brandon Guyer. Guyer, University of Virginia. The Cavaliers have had a really nice run in baseball. That area in particular, Virginia, turning out a lot of players. From Wright to Zimmerman to Kadire to the Uptons to Mark Reynolds. Guyer arrived to the Rays organization in the Matt Garza trade. Has put up really big numbers in the minor leagues. Last year, 97 games in the big leagues with the Rays.
Yeah, the Rays acquired Chris Archer in that deal as well.
Fernando Rodney's favorite player. (2-0).
Where did Fernando Rodney land this year? Is he in Seattle? He's with the Mariners.
Seattle a 1-2 start. They're in Oakland. Oakland a 2-2 start. Guyer a big cut. Dyson trying to pitch out of this bases loaded spot.
Well, a good fastball. Not only does he have that heavy sinker, he's got good velocity. You saw that fastball 96 from Sam Dyson.
Counts full 3-2. Guyer trying to get Kiermaier to the plate. Runners on the move. Pitches down low, and another run comes across. And Mike Redmond, on a night where he thought he had a laugher and a chance to just ride this one out, suddenly It's an 8-3 ball game, and here's Kiermaier, who has been the hottest hitter for the Rays this year. He's got 2 home runs, 5 for 12.
Well, this is a frustrating thing for a manager. You had a nice game moving on. The offense was looking good. Dan Herron had thrown the ball well. Probably could have given you another inning, but you want to make sure that you get some guys some work out of the bullpen. And David Phelps struggled. Right now, Dyson's struggling, throwing strikes. So it never gets easy as a manager. Never gets easy.
Huh. This is Kiermaier, and this is the 4th.
Saw that pitch up. Dan Herron knows he has to keep everything down. Made a little mistake, and Kiermaier, sometimes a hitter will pop that one up. Sometimes they hit it the way Kiermaier did.
How about that highlight music, Tommy Hutton?
That was
kind of Starsky and Hutch-like.
I was thinking more of Shaft.
70s.
Yeah.
Action adventure theme. Count 2-1. Dyson got a strike there. Kiermaier takes down low. It's 3-1. It's a dangerous count on a hot hitter.
The pitcher spot is the next hitter, but David DeJesus, veteran bat, is in the on-deck circle.
It is out, and now.
See, now you're just giving them runs. You don't want to give them runs. You want to make them earn some runs.
The tying run comes to the plate here in the top of the 7th. Phelps had trouble throwing strikes, and now Dyson has trouble throwing strikes. And the issue now, if you're Mike Redmond, is you've got to go to some arms that you probably weren't planning on going to once you scored 8 runs. A.J. Ramos is up in the bullpen.
Now Phelps has walked 2. Dyson now has walked a pair. And the Rays have just 2 hits in this inning, yet they've batted around with DeJesus coming up.
Ramos hasn't been up a long time. And A.J. will come in from the bullpen.
It's a double switch because Donovan Solano has come in to play third base.
Marlin lead. 3 runs here in this 7th inning. 3 bases loaded walks. And David DeJesus, the veteran, turns and hits one up into the second deck.
Well, the 35-year-old veteran just said, you know what, bases loaded. There have been a ton of walks. I'm going to get a first pitch fastball. He did. It just was a little bit inside, but he turned on it. He was ready for it.
There are 2 outs in this 7th inning. Ramos. This is away. DeJesus last year with the Rays, 83 games, and a broken hand that knocked him out of just over 60 games. Counts 2-1.
Yeah, DeJesus spent a lot of time, 8 years with Kansas City. He's been one of those just steady, reliable, line drive type hitters. Pretty good knowledge of the strike zone.
And Ramos can't throw strikes. And it's 3-1.
Well, the tough part, 2 things. Remember, Ramos had to get ready in a hurry. And the other thing we always talk about with AJ, if there was anything that he needed to improve on from last year to this year, would be keeping the walks down.
3-1 pitch to DeJesus. Gets into it, hits it to right, and it's deep. Stanton back, and it's off the top of the wall. 3 runs will score. DeJesus makes it a 1-run game. How about this? 3 bases loaded walks and a bases clearing double by DeJesus.
Well, we talked about how this guy's a veteran hitter. Knows he's going to get fastball. 3-1. AJ couldn't throw strikes. He had to come with that pitch. And he almost tied the game.
Boy, this is unbelievable. From 8-1 to 8-7. Miami had a 6-run 4th. The Rays have a 6-run 7th. And a ground ball up the middle. Gordon diving, can't get it, and this game is tied. As Drupal Cabrera ties the game. DeJesus scores. And the crowd unhappy, and it should be. The Marlins have given up a 7 spot here in the 7th inning.
Just unbelievable. D. Gordon did everything he could to try to knock that ball down. He was just trying to keep it in the infield. He knew if he was able to do that, the run wouldn't score. But the ball just got out of his reach. And with Cabrera's hit, it's a tie game. And if I were sitting in the stands, I'd be booing too.
Longoria goes after the first pitch and pops it into shallow center. Ozuna is in. He's there, and he makes the catch. The Tampa Bay Rays are off the canvas and have 7 runs in the 7th and have tied this game. 7th inning stretch. 8-8. Look at this. Miami 6 runs in the 4th, and the Rays, helped by 3 bases loaded walks, get 7 runs in the 7th.
And how about the most frustrated guy down there? Dan Herron, who went 6 tremendous innings, gave up just 1 run, was ready to possibly pick up his first win as a Marlin. And right now that one's out the door. And Kirby Yates is in the door.
Yeah, Marcell Ozuna is up. Yates becomes the 5th pitcher of the night for the Rays. And for the Marlins, who have played loose and free offensively, and it has shown with 8 runs and 9 hits, all of a sudden have to be thinking 0-3 coming into this series. You're not even facing a starting pitcher tonight. The Rays are going at it by committee. And you have an 8-1 lead, which is gone. There's a strike. It's 1-2. Jeff Beliveau in the Rays pen. Breaking ball misses in. Marlins jumped Erasmo Ramirez for those 7 runs. A run in the 3rd and 6 in the 4th. Ozuna pops it up right around the plate. Now it drifts back towards the screen. So does Rivera. And there's 1 out. Here comes Saltalamacchia.
Salty's had some good at-bats tonight. You and I talk about it over the years. When a hitter sees the ball well, he's going to take some walks. He's walked a couple of times. He doubled his last time up.
Yates delivers a strike. Yates coming up in the Rays organization. Nice minor league numbers last year. Out of Lihue in Hawaii. Non-drafted free agent. Junior college in Arizona.
Evan Longoria all of a sudden shifted all the way over. He's playing at a second base position now. Second baseman Logan Forsythe in shallow right field.
Now 2 balls and 2 strikes. Saltalamacchia strikes out. So Yates has retired the first 2 that he's faced. And here is Echeverria. It's one of those games, if you're working in baseball tonight, or if you're following games on your iPad or your phone and you saw 8-1, it's a game you probably haven't come back to check on, but then the score jumps out at you, 8-8.
Now you're back in.
Yeah. Yates has come in and thrown strikes, and he gets a strike on Echeverria, who was an RBI double.
Boy, he's come out of the bullpen and has been pinpointing strikes. Maybe.
Well, both those were actually out, but they were pinpointed right on top of each other.
Now, if you're him, You'd want to stay right there.
Absolutely.
Why throw one over the plate? Because if you're a hitter and you know that pitch has been called a strike, now you have to swing at it.
Rivera knows that too. Yates rides it outside. The count's 2-2. I mean, everything is out. He got him with a fastball. Kirby Yates goes 1-2-3. Miami on their heels right now in an 8-8 game. Miami struggling through their first 3 games, swept by Atlanta. Came in here and put up 8 runs in the first 4 innings, and were cruising into the 7th with an 8-1 lead. And then it all fell down around David Phelps, Sam Dyson, and A.J. Ramos. 3 bases-loaded walks, a 3-run pinch hit double by David DeJesus. Mike Redmond's Marlins are no longer leading in this ball game. It's tied in the 8th, 8-8. Ramos continues, and his fastball is up to Desmond Jennings. Jennings is flying out, popped out, singled and scored in the 7th. Martin Prado came out in a double switch, kind of in disbelief looking up at the scoreboard. And Ramos promptly goes 3-0 to the leadoff man here in the 8th inning. Alan Dykstra is on deck. He walked him on 4 pitches. And the crowd booing again. Chuck Hernandez on the phone. Miami's bullpen is scrambling. Jennings aboard at first. Marlins have used Phelps, Dyson, and Ramos after 6 really nice innings by Dan Herron.
Marlins put a shift on. We've seen it all night with Dykstra. Solano, the third baseman, goes over to the right side of the infield. Of course, he feels familiar over there, having played a lot of second base.
Brian Morris in the bullpen. There was a day off yesterday, so everybody's fresh. But if you're Mike Redmond, you had an 8-1 lead. You were just hoping to get some guys some work and get to tomorrow, keep some arms fresh. And that hasn't happened. Ramos gets a strike. And it's 0-1.
Speaking of relievers, I saw where former Marlin reliever Ryan Webb, who was with the Orioles, got traded to the Dodgers. Dodgers picked up Ryan Webb.
He joins Chris Hatcher in that bullpen. Hey, Rocco Baldelli making his first appearance of the show.
We may see him pinch hit tonight.
Good to see him in uniform in the big leagues. Jennings bluffs, swing and a miss. And it's 0-2. There's Baldelli. Rocco Baldelli is just 33. Of course, he was a big part of the building process with the Rays.
People forget he finished third in the Rookie of the Year voting in 2003.
And I think as well, people miss the fact that in 2008 he was a nice part of that World Series run. He and Cliff Floyd on that team as well. Jennings away from first, not running, pitches out. Jennings swiped 15 bases last year in 123 games.
Yeah, he's a good base stealer. He's had 4 consecutive years where he has stolen 15 or more.
But it's an interesting. I mean, obviously, it's been a horrific night for the Marlins after they were up 8-1. But it's an interesting juncture in the game because of the way the Rays have used their bullpen. They've essentially used their bullpen as starters, and who the Marlins have used after Heron, Phelps, Dyson, and now Ramos. And down goes Dykstra. So Ramos comes back to get a much needed strikeout. And up comes Logan Forsythe. The Rays, their bench is rather thin right now here in the 8th inning.
What got him with a good off-speed pitch, good changeup, fooled Dykstra.
And of course, the Rays have also used 5 pitchers, the last of which, Kirby Yates, looked really good in the bottom of the 7th. Forsythe, he was the first of the 3 bases loaded walks in the 7th. He was the last guy that David Phelps faced. Jennings again bluffs. And that, for Marlin fans, was the cruelty of that inning, in that Phelps walked a couple, including Forsythe with the bags loaded, and you could sense, well, okay, let's get somebody in here who can throw strikes. But Dyson came in, he walked 2, both with the bases loaded. Ramos came in. He gave up that big pinch hit to DeJesus. He had fallen behind DeJesus. He jumped on a ball, almost hit it out, actually. It hit the top of the wall in right center.
Yeah, right by that 392 sign.
And then gave up the tying hit to Cabrera. And just like that, an 8-1 lead was lost. Jennings is running on the 1-0 pitch. Down low. Saltalamacchia's throw down low as well. And a stolen base for Desmond Jennings. Tough pitch to throw on for Saltalamacchia. Stolen base for Jennings.
At times they flirt with Jennings at the top of the order, and he seems to struggle a little bit. He's a little more comfortable when he's down in the order. Picks up that stolen base.
Now Ramos with a go-ahead run. And Ramos spinning towards second, lost his footing, and now limps off the mound, and that's not a good sign. Now that back leg buckled. Kevin Cash is out, not to talk to an umpire, but his base runner is banged up. This one spin move without a throw has injured 2 players, Ramos, the pitcher, and the runner, and Jennings.
Not sure I've seen that before. The Marlins head athletic trainer, Sean Cunningham, and Chuck Hernandez come out to make sure AJ's okay.
Well, Jennings is checked out. Kevin Cash and the Rays trainer exit the field. Watch this. 2 guys go down. Count is 2-0. A leadoff walk to Jennings, a stolen base. Dykstra had struck out. Forsythe is up there now. Certainly bruising on the psyche of a Marlins team that came in at 0-3. Ramos misses up and in. It's 3-0.
And you have 2 different feelings in each dugout. I mean, it's the Rays who were down. Now all of a sudden they're back in this game. They're all excited. They're back in, and it's a tough to take over the Marlins dugout because at one point they saw their 7-run lead dissolve.
It's a Marlin team that's chock full of big names and high expectations, and it's a Rays roster that's been decimated by injuries. "3-1" is a strike. It's 3-2. And it's at the knees, although you can see Forsythe muttering.
Good job by Salty framing that, keeping it there.
3-2 coming. Tapper towards third. Jennings is going to get there. Solano, a quick release to Morse in time to get the out. Good read by Jennings to get to third. And now Ramos needs to get a guy who is 0 for 14 to start his season, Rene Rivera. Breaking ball, a strike.
It's always a good sign when AJ can get that breaking ball over. That's a good pitch too to start the hitter out, Rivera, with that first pitch slider.
Ball and a strike.
Curveball now. So he's seen a couple breaking balls and he's thrown those for strikes.
1-2. Pounded foul. 8 runs, 8 hits for the Rays. 8 runs, 9 hits for Miami. Rays have left just 2. Miami's left 6. Rivera hangs tough and stays at 1-2. A 1-2. So Talamaki has to smother it. with Jennings watching great interest down the third base line.
Now remember, AJ last year was 7-0 working out of the bullpen.
Hit hard but foul. You're right. You talked about momentum on both sides, and I think that momentum is felt certainly in this building. All the fun that the Marlins had building an 8-1 lead, the crowd was into it, has evaporated. The crowd voicing their displeasure twice quite loudly during the course of that 7-run inning for the Rays. 2-2 to Rene Rivera, who calls timeout, and Ramos has to stop his delivery. The 2-2. Breaking ball tapped third. It takes a wicked hop and a left turn into foul territory. Solano in that double switch at third. Hit the lip of the grass.
AJ Ramos just thrown 30 pitches now. And that's the problem in one of the residual effects of blowing this lead is a guy like Ramos, who's probably not slated to pitch once it went to 8-1, won't be able to pitch tomorrow in all likelihood. Got him. Rivera strikes out. Ramos strands Jennings at third. It's an 8-8 game in Miami in the bottom of the 8th. You can view maps of the ballpark, menus, order food from your seats, even access and display your game tickets for entry into Marlins Park. Check in with the ballpark app, receive special offers and gifts. Get the MLB.com ballpark app today. 8-8 game, and that just begins to tell the story here tonight. Donovan Solano's first at bat.
A breaking ball from Kirby Yates, who was dynamite in the 7th. He struck out 2 and retired the side in order. Solano, Gordon, Yelich. Miami had an 8-1 lead disappear in the top of the 7th. The Rays scored 7 times. 3 of those, the first 3, came on bases loaded walks. And Solano delivers into center field. Oh, Donovan Solano had a pinch hit triple. Made the ball club in the spring. Is aboard at first base.
And Donovan Solano on the year, 2 for 3 now. Boy, he has a nice swing. Stayed on that slider, it looked like. Took it right back over the shoulder of Yates. And gets things started.
Rays are going to go to their bullpen again. 6th pitcher to work for the Rays. Kendall Toyota called to the pen. D. Gordon, the lefty bat, is up. You've got Christian Yelich behind him. Ernesto Frieri is getting ready in the bullpen. A right-hander for the Rays with Stanton 3 hitters away.
Yeah, you know that Beliveau, who was in 30 games last year, it's his 3rd appearance this year, but did a nice job out of that bullpen. A good matchup guy. And you know he's in here to match up against the 2 lefties, D. Gordon and then Yelich.
We'll see if Gordon is bunting. Solano at first. Beliveau out of Providence, Rhode Island. And he misses in and almost clips Gordon. Longoria coming in hot from third base. Was charging and was right on top of Gordon, who certainly is an accomplished enough hitter if he wants to pull back and try to slap it through the infield. Gordon takes a strike, and it's 1 ball and 1 strike. So they count 1 ball, 1 strike. Gordon does bunt it. Rivera picks it up, fires to second, and gets the out. Now, D. Gordon didn't get enough space from home plate on that bunt, and a nice play by Rivera. And here is Yelich.
I'm always a little amazed. I'm going to give myself a homework assignment and talk to Brett Butler tomorrow. You got a left-hander on the mound. You have a Gold Glover at third who can creep way in. Dykstra has to hold the runner, but it appeared that D. Gordon was really trying to push the bunt to third.
Now Yelich with speed at first, and Beliveau goes over there. Beliveau out of Rhode Island, Bishop Hendrickson High School. There are only 2 players to get to the big leagues from that high school, and they're both in uniform for the Rays. The other is Rocco Baldelli. Gordon was breaking back when Beliveau came to the plate.
That tells you he hasn't figured out his move or his delivery yet.
Frieri is ready, and he's for Stanton, who's on deck. Yelich hit better against lefties last year than he did righties. 1 for 3, a 2-run single. Gordon is back.
If you're a runner and you don't know the move a lot, you'd like to see his A move. Don't know if that was his A move. If that was his A move, then he just has a so-so move.
A little bit better. This was an 8-1 Miami lead. The Rays 7 runs in the 7th, fueled by 3 bases loaded walks. Gordon away from first. He's running on the 0-1 pitch. Yelich takes a strike. The throw is not in time. Gordon went with a head first slide this time, and he got the hand under there.
Second stolen base tonight. I think have to ask D. Gordon when he decides on that, whether he's going to stay head first or go feet first. He's got momentum, but he's kind of leaning. You can kind of see it about 2/3 of the way down.
Kevin Cash asked his catcher to go out and talk to Beliveau to buy time for this review. Cash did not go out onto the field. And Rivera now is standing in front of the plate looking into the dugout and waiting. And it's essentially the same time frame as when a manager would walk out there, turn around, and then walk back. Yelich stands back in with an 0-2 count, and Gordon in scoring position. 1 out. One and 2.
Yeah, you talked about it, Rich. 317 was Christian Yelich's batting average against left-handers last year.
Yelich goes down, and Beliveau strikes out Yelich. He won't get a chance to face Stanton. Frieri is coming out of the bullpen. And so Stanton will face the right-hander. win of 8-1. The Rays getting 7 runs in the 7th inning, fueled by 3 bases loaded walks and a big pinch hit from David DeJesus. Ernesto Frieri steps into the ball game, becomes the 7th pitcher of the night. In a double switch, Bobby Wilson is now catching, and it's Frieri against Stanton with Gordon at second, and he throws a strike.
So the battery, a couple of guys who were teammates for a little bit with the Angels, Frieri and Bobby Wilson.
No 1 pitch to Stanton. Fastball popped it up foul. Frieri has come right after Stanton, and the count's 0-2. Stanton's father and his aunt are here. Bottom 8, 2 outs. Frieri, a Padre, Angel. Stanton up the middle into center field, a base hit. Here comes Gordon, he will score. Giancarlo, boy, Frieri made no bones about it. He wasn't pitching around him, he wasn't pitching carefully. He went right after Stanton.
And so far this year, we haven't seen that. Well, that's nice at bat and a good swing, because he realized the base hit was going to drive home the speedy D. Gordon. Didn't need to do a whole lot. Sharply sent it up the middle. And the other thing about that, he had first base open, but I think when you get ahead, all of a sudden, in your mind, you're saying, I can get this guy out.
Morse behind Stanton tonight has 2 run-scoring hits. Stanton is running, got a huge jump. Swing and a miss. That's a courtesy swing by Morse. Stanton steals the bag. You could just sense he was going to run. And he started to run well before Frieri started to the plate. Morse could not check his swing. It's 0-2. Morse takes down low. Giancarlo Stanton, a 2-out single to score D. Gordon. And Miami has a 9-8 lead. Steve Cishek is ready, but remember, Cishek's lone appearance this year was not a good one. Morse takes in, so there's going to be some anxiety about that appearance as well. Nothing easy for Mike Redmond trying to get this first win of the season.
Well, remember, we had that shot of Red when it was 8-1, and he was having a good time down there on the bench.
Morse has worked the count full now. Remember, the Rays started a reliever in this one. Steve Geltz, Erasmo Ramirez, Grant Balfour, Matt Andriese, Kirby Yates, Jeff Beliveau, Ernesto Frieri. And here comes Ichiro, who will pinch hit here with runners at first and second.
Yeah, the crowd loves Ichiro. And remember, in that double switch, this is where the pitcher spot was, so he's pinch hitting for A.J. Ramos.
Ichiro to right, down the line, and foul. And the count is 0-1. Ichiro has a hit in 3 at-bats. That hit a bunt single. They're in 37 games against the Rays. Ichiro, a bouncer towards second. Forsythe has it and throws him out, but Miami gets a run. Is it enough? Going to the ninth, Steve Cishek trying to shut the door on a 9-8 ball game. By Paul Blart Mall Cop 2, starring Kevin James, in theaters April 17th. Well, about an hour and a half ago, Miami was on top 8-1. The Rays rallied for 7 with a lot of help from the Marlins. Giancarlo Stanton with 2 outs smacked a line drive single to center. And that has given Miami a 1-run lead for Steve Cishek. Cishek, in Game 2 of the Atlanta series, came in. Remember, that was a 12-2 Atlanta win. Cishek came in to get some work, and he got worked. A third of an inning, 2 hits, 4 runs.
Boy, a nice night for Giancarlo Stanton. A 2-for-3 night, 3 RBIs. D. Gordon has scored 3 runs, has a couple of hits.
Brandon Guyer is up first, and a fastball from Cishek is up. It's 1-0. Guyer, Kiermaier, and then remember Bobby Wilson came in. He's due up third. Cishek pours across a strike. A ball and a strike.
This is where you get a different scenario with the 1-run game as opposed to Cishek's appearance the other night.
Into right, and it's fair. Stanton. In is Guyer, and the Rays have life in the ninth. Brandon Guyer, his second hit of the ball game. And Tampa Bay just won't go away.
Boy, that's a pretty good pitch, too. It was up just a tad, not a whole lot. It was a slider, it was off the plate. Boy, and that's just a good swing by Guyer. Probably out of the strike zone. Yeah, look at that. Look at number 3. Out of the zone. And that you cannot fault Steve Cishek making that pitch. That was a good pitch. Just credit Brandon Guyer.
Now Kiermaier, who has looked very good at the plate tonight. A home run, a single, a bases loaded walk, and a ground down. Kiermaier trying to, at the very least, get Guyer over to third. Certainly trying to drive him in and tie this game. Good lead by Geyer. Cishek trying to come in that back door with a slider, just missed. One. Just a fastball.
Well, we talked about Cishek hiding the ball. Grand Eye Vision Cam giving you just a tremendous look.
One, two. High fastball, swing and a miss. Kiermaier goes down. That's a big out to get.
Yeah, it is. He swings the bat well. He's already homered in this game. He has 2 hits. And Cishek went upstairs. Good fastball. And Kiermaier couldn't catch up to it.
Now Wilson. John Jaso just placed on the disabled list, joining a long list of Rays. Wilson, who has parts of 7 years in the big leagues now. Marlins Live, brought to you by Checkers. It's coming up. One. On a hop and wide of third. The menu on the post-game show: Jessica, Jeff, Preston. Those guys were out there in the 7th inning ready for the post-game show. And they've been out there for the last hour and a half.
Did not anticipate this drama.
1-2. It's out. Got a good hitter in Asdrubal Cabrera to follow. Then you've got Longoria. Cishek trying to get Wilson. Tying run at second, 1 out. And that pitch is out.
Crowd wanted it, but it was outside.
Wilson, soft serve, right field, over Gordon, up with it Stanton, holding third is Geyer. Geyer had to wait to see if Gordon would catch it. Wilson nudges a single to right. And now the Rays are 90 feet away from tying the game again.
Well, you talk about inches. What an effort by D. Gordon on a flare that was sent out to right field by Wilson. And you're right, the runner at second base, Geyer, he's got a hold right there. He thinks, yeah, maybe it's going to be caught. But first and third now, and there's 1 out. Charlie Montoyo, third base coach, talking it over with Geyer.
Miami's infield looks for 2. Asdrubal Cabrera has 3 hits and 4 trips in this game. Breaking ball, strike. Cishek looking for a save, has given up 2 hits, has a strikeout. You don't have great speed with Wilson at first. Cabrera is not a burner at the plate. Ball and a strike. Cishek, the 1-1. And it's 2-1. Tying run 90 feet away. Ground ball might end it for the Marlins. There's a tapper. Morse has it, turns out there. Echeverria turn, safe, and it's tied. In front of him, Morse had Geyer at third. Behind him, he had Wilson scampering to second.
Well, you have to make a quick decision. Michael Morse made the decision. He knows that Cabrera has average speed. He thought he had a chance for 2. The second guessers will say, well, he should have gone home. But he has to make a quick decision. That was his decision, just a little bit late.
Now Longoria, runner at first, and Cishek goes over. A blown save for Cishek on a night where a lot of things have gone right and probably more things have gone wrong for the Miami Marlins. Cabrera gets an RBI, his second of the ball game. And a strike to Longoria, who has not fared well at the plate tonight. He's 0 for 4.
The only thing on that play, if you're Michael Morse, in that situation, you have to almost make sure. You have to be 100% that you can turn that double play.
A ball and a strike to Longoria. And he pops it up. Infield. Gordon calls and catches. But the Rays, for the second time tonight, have tied the game. And this, in the ninth, is 9-9. Infield instructor as well as first base coach, and Michael Morse talking about it. As you pointed out, Tommy, as a first baseman, it's a difficult play. It's an easier play if you're a lefty.
A little easier, but again, you have to make that real quick decision.
Marcell Ozuna, Jared Saltalamacchia, and Danny Echeverria, and this is against Ernesto Frieri. I don't know where you even start to describe this one. It's 9-9 in the bottom of the ninth. It was 8-1 at one point. Miami on top. Dykstra over, and it's into the seats. And the count 1-1 to Marcell Ozuna. One of the oddities of this game is that the Rays have done it by committee on the mound. They started a reliever in Steve Geltz. Frieri is the 7th pitcher to work. They do have Kevin Jepson and Brad Boxberger in their bullpen. So they have 2 more arms to go to. Ozuna to center. And it's caught there by Kiermaier. Saltalamacchia now. Saltalamacchia's walked twice, doubled, and struck out. Miami an 8-1 lead. 3 bases loaded walks. A David DeJesus 3-run pinch hit double. And as Dribble Cabrera RBI single wiped out that lead in 1/2 inning. That was the top of the 7th. Miami got a run in the bottom of the 8th. A 2-out hit by Giancarlo Stanton. Saltalamacchia lifts one in the air, right center. Geyer is in, and he makes the catch. 2 outs. Steve Cishek came on, and this is certainly the Reader's Digest version, or Cliff Notes, or however you want to spin it. Steve Cishek came in. There's Boxberger, and he could not hold the lead. He gave up a couple of hits.
Think about the 2 hits he gave up. One on a really good pitch, the other a little flare just out of the reach of D. Gordon.
Echeverria takes a breaking ball for a strike.
That's the frustrating part.
Well, that's part of the frustrating part.
Yeah.
I mean, I think
that's frustrating part 2.
Yeah, the maddening part is the inability to throw strikes out of the bullpen. And this a soft pop-up that Wilson will corral. And this game, believe it or not, and who would have thought it, at 8-1 in the 7th. This game is going extra innings at 9-9. Has had a nice night. The 3 bases loaded walks certainly will stand out in this one. Win or lose for either team. I think for the Marlins, who are 0-3 coming into this, jump to an 8-1 lead, to have lost this lead and lost it twice has got a sting, even though this game is not even over. Brian Morris out of the bullpen takes over for Steve Cishek.
Well, a new battery, Jeff Mathis, comes in. So he'll be behind the plate.
And you would expect a double switch, which would put Mathis, or would that be, let's see, matches Saltalamacchia. So you would put Mathis in the 5 spot, correct? Yes. Mathis in the 5 spot. And Brian Morris going into Saltalamacchia's spot in the 7th spot. Desmond Jennings up for the Rays.
thought Brian Morse pitched a nice inning the other night against the Braves. Gave up a single, then got Anderson Simmons to hit into a double play.
At 8-1, Mike Redmond had 6 innings out of Dan Herron. He wanted to get some work for David Phelps. Phelps came in and couldn't get anybody out, and then at the end couldn't throw strikes, and that started the whole snowball down the hill. High chopper is wide of third, and now Mike Redmond not only has lost the lead twice, but he's gone through his bullpen on a night where he was probably in a position to limit the work to just a couple of relievers. Now he's used Phelps, Dyson, Ramos, Cishek, and here's Morris. Wonder if Jeff Baker will play a role.
In a game like this, you never know who's going to play a role.
Well, on Miami's bench, now that Mathis is in, Don Kelly and Jeff Baker are available. On the Rays bench, Tim Beckham is it. Unless the Rays have made a transaction between now and
no, they haven't. Beckham
started play. Someone else has gone on the DL
because they're required to let us know if they do that.
Swing and a miss. Jennings goes down. We apologize for the profanity. Good tight spiral on the slider.
Yeah, there's that good slider. You can see the spin. Yeah, any deals like that, capable Rays broadcasters, Dwayne Statz and Brian Anderson, they have to tell us.
More than capable.
Yeah, they're required to tell us.
Standout broadcasters. Dykstra up. Infield has been shifted on him, and he shortens the bunt and pushes it foul. Remember last year, to your story, George Brett on that YouTube video talking about beating a ship. Brett saying, hey, just spray a couple ground balls through the hole on the other side and they'll stop shifting. Remember last year when Garrett Jones, there they are. Dwayne Statz.
They're working a little overtime too.
A little hot tea there. Last year when Garrett Jones dropped down a couple bunts, the shifts against him grew less extreme.
Yeah, I remember that. But it's a fun 5-minute or so video if you want to Google. Probably George Brett talking about shifts.
Rung him up. Morris gets the strikeout. Dykstra wasn't pleased. And here's a look at it.
This time he goes two-seam fastball. Absolutely paints it, but probably was off the plate, and it was.
It was off the plate, and it was wasn't low, but it was off the plate.
It's been a kind of night for Will Little, the young umpire, though. He's kind of had that strike zone, but it's been for both sides.
That's right down the middle. That's right down the middle.
Logan Forsythe.
Will Little starting to hear it from the Tampa Bay bench.
Ball and a strike. And it's 1-2.
reading an article the other day that 96-mile-an-hour fastball reminded me of it. And we're talking about in today's game, most every bullpen has at least 3 guys who throw 95 or more. And you can look at the Marlins bullpen, they certainly fall into that category.
Two balls, 2 strikes. Forsythe, University of Arkansas product. We saw him as a Padre. Parts of 3 years with San Diego.
Boy, what a lot of excitement there is in San Diego this year with all the deals that they made. And the icing on the cake was acquiring Craig Kimbrell.
Even after all that, the Padres are 1-3. San Diego and San Francisco are scoreless in the second. This was a night we talked about teams that did not have a win, teams that did not have a loss. Cincinnati outlasted St. Louis, and the Reds are 4-0. The Rockies are 4-0. They beat the Cubs 5-1. On the other end of the spectrum, the White Sox are 0-4. They were shut out at home by the Twins. And for Minnesota, it was their first win. Here is Tim Beckham, and this is the last guy on the bench for the Rays.
So Kevin Cash will dip into that bullpen again as well.
I told you the Marlins bench has Jeff Baker and Don Kelly. You think about it, I mean, as this game has progressed, you and I talked about it when it happened, when the Rays pinch hit with 2 outs and nobody on in the 3rd inning. In a National League game, sometimes that can come around to bite you. Beckham busts his bat in the hole. Slipping is Echeverria, but an accurate throw is in time to get Beckham. Bottom of the 10th, 9-9 game. Sort of the closer du jour right now for the Rays as they wait for Jake McGee to come off the disabled list. Rays are out of position players now, with Tim Beckham having pinch hit. Beckham stays in the game. He'll play second base. So Logan Forsythe is out, and Boxberger is in Forsythe's spot in the order.
Looks like Dykstra's out now.
Oh, okay.
But in for tomorrow is Chris Archer and Jared Cozart. Good matchup tomorrow.
I see what happened. They slid Forsythe over to first base. So Dykstra's out. Forsythe is now at first. So put Boxberger in Dykstra's spot. Here is Solano. Donovan Solano, 1 for 1 in the ball game. He came in a double switch defensively, singled in the 8th. That started what would be a go-ahead rally. Miami would take a 9-8 lead on the Giancarlo Stanton 2-out single to center. Steve Cishek promptly would come in and blow that save in the bottom of the 9th. And so this game has arrived in the bottom, or excuse me, in the top of the 9th. We're in the bottom of the 10th here.
I'm just thinking with all these moves, it's really been an initiation for Kevin Cash, managing for the first time in a major league game, regular season, in a National League city, moving around all these players.
Do you think if he were to do it again, he would not have pinch hit with Mikey Matuk?
Yeah, I mean, I think
with 2 outs and nobody
on base, you got to even if you're going to take the pitcher out, you got to just let him hit with nobody on base. So I think he may rethink that.
D. Gordon trying to bunt, pops it up. Gordon reaches out, pokes it fair, and that should be extra bases. Geyer up against the wall. Gordon stops at second with a double. Big night for D. Gordon. He has scored 3 times. He now has 3 hits. He's walked as well.
But he got an off-speed pitch. He was able to just get down and loop it over the head of Forsythe at first base. You were thinking triple, but it was played nicely by Geyer off that wall. I'm sure D. Gordon was thinking triple.
Yelich. Boxberger misses down low. Boxberger saving the Rays' lone win. And that was Wednesday, a 2-0 win over Baltimore. Jake Odorizzi, the winning pitcher in that one. Yelich takes a strike, ball and a strike. Yelich struck out in the 8th. That was against lefty Jeff Beliveau. And Giancarlo Stanton would face Ernesto Frieri and single off of him to give Miami a short-lived 9-8 lead. Another strike. 1 and 2. Stanton is on deck. Yelich, a ground ball, base hit, left field. Off to the races is Gordon. On his way home. Ball game. Miami wins it. And Yelich with a walk-off hit. It certainly wasn't pretty, but the Marlins, who desperately needed it, get a win. No style points, but a 10-9 win nonetheless.
Yeah, everybody picked everybody up in this one. Yelich with a big night, a couple of hits, 3 RBIs. Giancarlo with 3 RBIs, 2 hits. Morse a couple of hits, 2 RBIs. That's what you try to do. You don't want to see it happen too often, but the entire team participated in this one, and the hitters picked up the bullpen.
Terrific night by D. Gordon. He scores his 4th run of the night. And Yelich, and that's what we've seen from Yelich. Not trying to do too much, driving it through. Interesting how the Rays had shifted Yelich. Their shortstop, as Dribble Cabrera was over towards the bag at second. And Yelich gladly takes that open spot and punches it through. So, if the Marlins had exhaled after going up 8-1, they can do it again after blowing 2 leads and finally winning it in the bottom of the 10th. Let's go down below. Jessica Blaylock.
All right, thanks so much, Rich. Christian, that's about as exciting a finish as you get. What did you see on that pitch?
It was fastball away. I was actually sitting change up that whole at bat, and I threw 2 fastballs middle away, and he came back with it again. I was able to kind of slap it in the hole, and D was able to score, and that's a big win for us. Got our first one of the year, and now we can go back to just playing baseball.
How much does it help to have a guy like D. Gordon in front of you who is so quick?
Yeah, he changes the game. Everybody's got to think about where he is on the bases, and he disrupts them in the running game, and that was a huge double he had, and he scored with ease.
The Rays certainly did not make it easy. You guys had to withstand not just 1 but 2 rallies from Tampa Bay. What does that say about this team?
That's a toughness win there for us. Things didn't go well for us that first series, and we could easily fold it there. We had a 7-run inning. They scored 1 in the 9th, and we just kept having to battle. And that was a good team win, and we needed that.
You guys scored more runs tonight alone than you did in the entire series against Atlanta. How much do you feel like you took advantage of those opportunities at the plate?
I knew that was coming. But I completely forgot the question. I just got dunked on. But
yeah, you did just get dunked on. What was that all about? I mean, we know about the pies, we know about the Gatorade bats, but getting dunked on?
Yeah, they've been waiting to do that. So that's their thing this year. So you're gonna have to watch out.
All right, thanks so much. All right, congratulations, Christian.
Thank you, Jessica. We needed that one.
All right, guys, back to you.
D. Gordon, I love that. Yeah, well, we'll discuss it at a later date, but Chris Coughlin comes to mind when watching that. Anyways, Miami wins it. They get the final hit and the walk-off dunk, I guess you can call it. We'll wrap it up 10-9. Marlins beat the Rays.